Hi everyone, I'm Sandy and I'm here today with my March reading wrap up. I had a really amazing reading month in March. Quality of books wise, it was just absolutely phenomenal. And so I'm really excited to talk through my books that I read. It's a big mix of different kinds of books. So let's go ahead and jump right in. First of all, if you're not subscribed to my channel, consider giving me a subscribe and sticking around. I'm loving BookTube quite a bit and love having this journey with everyone. So yeah, like the video, comment down below, give me a subscribe, all the booktubey stuff. So all right, so let's get into what I actually read. So based off of what my TBR was, I kind of was a little bit mixed. So I had planned to read War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy, and I got very close to finishing it in March. In my Saturday book countdown, I will have it in there because I have, spoiler, finished that book, but I will talk about it in the Saturday countdown video. So the other books I had planned to read were A Walk in the Woods by Bryson, and I did read this. This was a buddy read with Tiffany over at Beautiful Minutia. I'm not going to talk about this one today because I plan to do an outside video and wrap up this book for you. I'm very excited about doing that. I love filming those videos, but yeah, I did finish A Walk in the Woods. The next book that was on my TBR is What I Love by Siri Hustvedt. I did this as a buddy read with Alice from Alice in the Giant Bookshelf, and I was able to finish that and have already talked about it on my channel. In that book, they talked about The Nose by Gogol. And I did finish that one, which was only a 40-page little thing, which was great. And I'll leave a card up here for you for that video where I talk about both of those. I had said something about reading Murder Must Advertise. Did not pick it up. Did not pick up a murder mystery at all for March Murder Mystery. I don't know why, I just didn't. I also had talked about reading Like a House on Fire, which is an arc that I have, didn't pick it up. I also didn't pick up An Heir to Murder by Charles Heathcote. And then the other one of the middle grade books that I had maybe kind of played around with reading was The Mysterious Benedict Society by Trenton Lee Stewart. And I didn't pick that one up either. Now, that does not mean I did not read more books, because for whatever reason at the end of March, I had a lot of free time and I wasn't reading anything other than War and Peace. So I was able to pick up a women's prize book. I was able to pick up a middle grade book. I picked up a band book, and I picked up one of the books from the BookTube spin. I'm really good at doing the BookTube spin and selecting books, but I'm not good about reading them, so I'm very happy that I finished one. So let's start with the women's prize in fiction books. So none of these books were on my, well, one of these was on my TBR. The rest of these books were not on my TBR. So the first book I'm going to talk about is the Women's Prize, and that is Great Circle by Maggie Shipstead. I did this as a buddy read with Shelley Swearingen and my friend Sonia Devaney, and let's just say I love this book. I got pulled into the story right from the beginning. There's a reason why it's been on, I think, the long list for Women's Prize this year. So the book follows a character whose name is Marion. The book actually has two varying timelines. One set kind of in the now and one set way back in the past. And starts before really the main character was ever born with her parents. And some tragic events that happen in her very young life. She is a twin with her brother Jamie, but it starts off with her parents. And you kind of bounce between the current time frame where there's an actress who's playing Marion in an upcoming documentary or movie that's going to be coming out, and it flashes back and does parts of Marion's story, and then we'll go talk about Hadley and back and forth. The Marion character in this is probably one of my favorite characters that I've read recently. She's amazing. She just does kind of whatever she wants. She is determined that she's going to learn how to fly from a very young age, and is out trying to do everything she can to earn money, to figure out a way to fly, everything. And driving deliveries for bootleggers, whatever she can do to be able to get money to be able to fly. Her life is all over the place, but it is so incredibly fascinating. This just very dynamic female character who is just absolutely going after what she wants to do. And I really loved Marion's character. She's not flawless. She has a lot of problems, and she definitely has some difficulty in her life and some decisions that she made that had long-reaching consequences. I absolutely, like I said, love the book. I'm not going to spoil the book if you're reading this. I'm certainly not going to tell you what happens in the book. There is a criticism of the book. The current timeline's character was not my favorite. I understand why the author put them in there and kind of what their purpose was, but I think there could have been a different choice for that character. I didn't connect with her very much at all. I gave that character the benefit of the doubt, whose name is Hadley. I gave her the benefit of the doubt far longer than I think my buddy readers did. She just did not work for me for whatever reason, that whole mechanism. There are so many dynamic characters in this though, and you just really want to find out all what happens to everyone. The ending wasn't the best ending for me. I wasn't super engaged with the very ending, but I would recommend reading this book. I think that those flaws are worth still reading the book and getting past. I did, like I said, really enjoy Great Circle. I'm excited to see, I know it passed in the book 2 prize round, and we'll see if it goes on in the women's prize. I know it's kind of, some people don't like it, some people do like it. I really loved it. Oh, we were supposed to read this over 3 weeks. We read it in a week. I mean, I read it in a week. Shelley read it in a week. Couldn't put it down. So that kind of tells you how much I really loved this book, is that I read it in such a short amount of time. So yeah, Great Circle by Maggie Shipstead. That's the first kind of unplanned book. So as far as a rating for this, I put it really at the 4.5 star mark. It didn't quite make it to the 5 because of that future timeline and because of the ending, but I really did like it quite a bit. Almost the 5 star. So close. Okay, so the next book is my middle grade book, and it is one that was recommended by Jack over at Spread Bookjoy, and that is Wonder by RJ Palacio. This is one that I had on my maybe TBR video, or maybe it was in my TBR video as a maybe. And I ended up picking this up. And spoiler, this was a 5-star read for me. It's my second 5-star read. This follows a young boy whose name is Augie. And Augie has been homeschooled since he was born, because he was born with a facial deformity that really disfigured his face. So much so that he wore a space helmet for 2 years because he didn't want to show his face. And he has to go to a real school. And his adventures in the school and trying to navigate and meeting people and making friends was just so incredibly special. He also just was so down to earth about things and was able to laugh at himself and just tried to make friends. It wasn't all rosy for Augie. He definitely had a lot of challenges, but the overwhelming theme of this book is kindness and treating people well. And that was something that it had been a couple of difficult months, and just having that book of positivity and joy, I really enjoyed that quite a bit. I also really loved kind of the ending in Augie, because he was so down to earth. Said in here, one of the last pieces, to me though, I'm just me, an ordinary kid. And so all throughout the book, the thing that he always was just very authentic and genuine with people. He was never mean, and it was lovely to see the friendships he developed, and it was just absolutely wonderful to see this very positive character all throughout the book. And the book changes perspective as you go, so sometimes it's Augie talking, sometimes it's his sister, sometimes it's a friend at school. It's just a wide variety of different perspectives, which was really interesting as well. Fun fact, this book, they talk about War and Peace because the older sister is reading War and Peace, and mini spoiled something, not completely spoiled, but mini spoiled something for me, which I thought was really funny. I mentioned that once before, I think last week in a video, but Wonder ended up being a 5-star read for me and was just delightful. So thank you so much, Jack, for recommending it. Sorry it took me so long to read it, but I loved this book quite a bit. Okay, the next book is my banned book, and I ended up reading All Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnson. editing me here. I realized after watching the video that I really did not like what I said about this book and didn't feel like I talked about it in the way that I really wanted to talk about it. So I'm just going to re-record it for you. The book All Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnson. The author describes this as a memoir manifesto. And in here, at the very beginning of the book, the note that the author put in, I thought was really important and powerful. It says, in writing this book, I wanted to be as authentic and truthful about my experience as possible. I wanted my story to be told in totality, the good, the bad, and the things I was always too afraid to talk about publicly. This meant going to places and discussing some subjects that are often kept away from teens for fear of them being too heavy. But the truth of the matter is, these things happened to me when I was a child, teenager, and young adult. So as heavy as these subjects may be, it is necessary that they are not only told, but also read by teens who may have to navigate many of those same experiences in their own lives. And that, there's more to the author's note, but that first part of it I thought was really important. I am clearly not the audience, the intended audience for this book. I, as a cis white woman who is approaching a very big milestone birthday this year, I am not the intended audience for this. I had watched Fraser Simon talk about this book, and one of the things he said was, this is a book written by a young person for young people. And I thought that was a really important statement in there. This book, however, is really, really interesting. There's a lot about this book, even that I'm not the audience for it, that I found really intriguing, important to read. So much of what I got from the book was things like, find your support circle, find the people who can help you or have similar experience, the people who really are the ones that know what you're going through or can help you go through whatever it is you're going through. That I thought was really important and really powerful. I do see why, it has the, kind of controversy around it and people wanting to ban it a little bit, because the author is very transparent about things that happened in their life, about, sexual abuse with a family member, about their first sexual experiences. And the author's intent, if you read through it, is to kind of give experiences that they had rather than, and that weren't necessarily taught in school. And so it's a very powerful memoir. This George M. Johnson is obviously still very young, so it'd be interesting to see what a memoir would look like later in life by this author. But as far as like how it was written, how the story came across, the experiences that Johnson had, I felt that it was really a powerful and interesting read. I do not have a child in the age group that this might apply for. My child is old. So you don't have to look at it through that lens, but I did find it really, really interesting. I found it very engaging, a fast read with some very troubling and difficult content, especially towards the end, but very, very good. I think I ended up giving it around the 4-star mark in my ratings for it, but I did really appreciate the experience too of reading a banned book right now and understanding a little bit of what the narrative is about around this particular book. So yeah, that was All Boys Aren't Blue. And the last book is my booktube spin book. So like I said, I'm really good at doing the spin and not good about reading it. Unfortunately, this book didn't work as much for me. It is a first one in a series, and it's Shatter Me by Tahereh Mafi. And this book has a young woman whose name I have now forgotten. Juliet. It has a young woman named Juliet in it, and Juliet right from the beginning is in prison, and she is imprisoned because her touch can hurt people, and she is going through just quite a bit. She gets a new roommate. The new roommate comes in and immediately tries to steal her bed, things like that. She's just one of those characters that is, obviously they're trying to get her to use her power for bad and hurting people. the reestablishment, as it's called, takes her to another location where they want to try and use her to hurt people. I don't really want to talk about the series too much because, like I said, it just didn't work for me. It's not a series I would pick up and read more of. I really liked the Juliet character, and I liked kind of where her story was starting to head, but it just didn't pull me in enough to say, oh, I really have to read the rest of that story. But I'm glad I picked it up finally. It was a short read, easy read. The font in this book is, pretty big, and it didn't take me long to actually pick this one up and finish this one. But yeah, that was one of my BookTube spin books. So that's the bulk of what I read. So yeah, that's the really eclectic list of books that I ended up picking up in addition to my 1001 books. But having a 5-star, having a 4.5-star book, I'm really happy with how my reading turned out. If you've watched my April TBR video, it's really stacked with books, but I'm really happy I had some really great free time to just kind of pick up whatever was sitting on my shelf. So, but that's really my March reading wrap up. As always, like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, everyone, bye.